So we were working together perfectly on wiring. Now we got into a debate about our fans.
Okay. Hold on before we get the one-sided rich story on this.
Alright, so we had some major issues with Quattro Debocho and Super Speeders Rob Project Card Challenge. Biggest one right off the bat was our cooling system. We had oil going into the turbos, which was another system, fuel management, boost control, and engine management. We're working on each system at the same time. It just takes a while to accumulate all the parts, the right fittings, the right whatever we need. We're gonna take each system that let us down, explain how we're gonna fix it. Our exhaust on our wastegates was another issue. So we got Lyle to bend us up. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Okay, so this is Quattro Debocho. This is where we mounted the fans, only because...
On top of the intercooler, let's give all the information. So right now he has some puller fans mounted. He's gonna wire them in reverse to push through the intercooler and then eventually get to the radiator. I said we should mount this under here, and Rich says it won't work because the fans are gonna be too close to here and it's gonna push into that. That's the big argument. He thinks that because the fans will be too close to the floor, it won't work, but it's only like a couple inches. I don't see the problem. I think they're designed to pull and they should be used as pullers.
So those were off my Silverado, and I used them as pushers because there was no room. So I know that they work good in traffic. I had them turn on and I dropped the temperature. When you're stuck in traffic, drop the Cummins significantly. I tried mounting them at the bottom, but the issue is we've got the floor of the trunk here. So you're taking all the air and shooting it this way. The air, basically the bottom of the fans touch right here. It's taking this air and just slamming it down on the bottom when it has to come out the back here. So if you can't get the air out, it's not gonna go through. And basically this will just stay full of air and not have any movement over top of it. So now we need your opinion. What's the best way? Best way would be to get Mishimoto to give us some pusher fans and put them there and duct it nicely up the back.
I would still put puller fans.
And we just don't have the room.
Because you
but
want
anyway,
the fans
we're
on
gonna
the
keep
radiator,
arguing. You guys comment down below.
Ah!
This is 1:46 on September 5th. We just got our last parts, I think. Holley. So the FedEx truck came in 10 minutes ago, but it was from Milwaukee. Gave me some new ratchet sets. We just got the last of our parts from Holley. September 5th, we're leaving tomorrow. And there's the car. See ya, thank you. There's the car. So yeah, right on time.
Yeah, sure. You make the video while I edit.
Sorry. What's it gonna be? We need spark plug wires and a hose.
It's probably gonna be some t-shirts.
I thought it's just the hose. And it's just the hose. We don't have spark plug wires.
But does it have the fittings?
We can make that work. I have the fittings.
Oh, you have the fittings.
Oh, so. Oh. Yeah! Yay. We can maybe fire the engine tomorrow because we still got a lot to do. But that is awesome.
Done? You're a hoser, eh?
So Stefan went home. So Mike here, under my direct direction, was told to make sure that they are pusher going down. But we do have to make sure that it's sealed all the way across the rad. It goes through the path of least resistance. So when we turn the fans on, actually if one fan comes on, more air comes out this side. The air actually hits the rad and comes back up and goes out the other fan. Not a big deal. They'll come on at a certain temperature, and when both of them come on, it's surprising how much air comes out that little gap, just this little piece between here and here. So we'll put a little bit of silicone or something on that just to seal that up, and then we're golden. So they draw quite a bit, so they're on their individual relays. I had to lift the tank back up again just a little bit to get my exhaust back in again. and I'm just welding the O2 bung in it. So the O2 sensor for the wideband has to be between 12 and 18 inches from the turbo to get accurate reading. It has to be between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on the up. If you put it on the bottom, the moisture will sit on it and it'll ruin the sensors. And the Holley needs to know whether it's a Bosch sensor or the other one. But get the Bosch one, because Bosch is the best. Yeah. And then you need to have at least 18 inches of pipe coming out after the O2 sensor, because otherwise it will pick up the oxygen coming from outside, because they're that fussy. Where we messed up on the O2 sensor before is kind of oxygen gets pushed into the side of the sensor, and if there's back pressure, the oxygen gets pushed in there and it can't escape, so you're only getting that reading of the oxygen, and it's a completely false reading. So we're gonna fix that with these sensors. So I gotta weld one on the top of each bank and then go from there. Here we go. All right, so I got the center skid plate on, which is the important one, because that's where we grab it from. And the car is now holding the rotisserie. So let's knock that rotisserie off. Throw some tires on that old girl. Here we go.
You want this that bad?
Yeah.
Really?
What is it?
It's from Milwaukee, you know.
Oh.
You can turn off the camera.
Not that I'm not disappointed at all.
Sorry to disappoint.
Sort of,
you,
but the UPS usually delivers all this stuff. So. All right.
There you go, man.
We won't swear in front of you. Thanks. Thanks, Milwaukee. We need some spark plug wires though. Anyway. Okay, so first thing we did when we checked the fuel system is, without any pressure in the system, we just took this line off that feeds the fuel rail and put that in a jerry can. So we put 10 liters of clean fuel in there, ran that through, so anything that, if there was anything in the lines, whatever, they wouldn't go into the fuel rail. We ran that, we caught that in the jerry can. Then we hooked that line back up again. Before the fuel went back into the tank, we just disconnected it there, making sure that there's anything in the cooler or whatever, that we caught it in the jerry can. Now we'll put this dirty fuel in the old forklift, because nobody gives a crap about this old forklift, except me, because honestly it's like the handiest tool that I have. But the old carburetor is okay to have a little bit of yuckiness in there, so we'll throw that in there. It's hard to do with one hand. And I'll go get some premium fuel. Oh no, I gotta use two hands. Anyway, we're gonna get some premium fuel, throw that in, run one more complete cycle of that 20 liters in there. Mama will get that in her car, and then we'll throw some premium in there to keep, and we're good to go, but we might roll the car a couple more times. So fuel system's good, cooling system's good, wiring, everything's communicating and talking. We're not bad shape, just about a day behind, so we'll see. Here we go. All right, tranny, we're about to put our engine and tranny back in again. We've got 7590 from synthetic from Pennzoil that's going in the transmission, and then we've got 75-140 full synthetic going in the rear diff. This is actually the front diff here, so it's torsion diff in the back, and then there's a torsion diff between the back and the front. So we're really, if you don't know what those are, take a look at them. They're really cool, which is why we chose the Audi in the first place and why we decided to keep the Audi driveline. Let's throw some oil in here. A little bit will probably spill out, only because this is our plug for the transmission cooler. The engine and tranny actually is pretty straightforward putting it in. We're missing some idlers and pulleys because we got rid of our water pump, so we got to figure out our belt routing yet. But basically, we're hoping to fire it up and then throw it in the trailer and start heading down to Bowling Greens. We probably won't be there until tomorrow night, but yeah, here we go.
Towards driver's side.
Okay, so for our fittings on the front of the block, we've got these little blocks that just have the 12-N O-ring fittings. Now guys were saying that we're restricted, but if you could look inside this hole is pretty small. I can just stick my finger in there. So as soon as the coolant hits this passage, it's already restricted right there. No more than these hoses are. So I'm not too worried, but comment down below as to the prediction as to whether these two lines are gonna be big enough or not. Anyway, we're gonna put them on. Let's see what happens. You gonna work, Stefan?
Is it gonna work or am I gonna work?
Is it gonna... You're sweating, so you're doing
sweating.
something.
I bent over, so I'm sweating now.
So this morning, this car was on the rotisserie upside down with no engine and transmission seats or fans in it. We got everything pretty well together as it is, but ran into a few small issues. We're trying to restrict 90s coming into the cooling system, but I cannot put these in on the 45 that they're at, so I'll probably have to do a 90 because the fan belt gets in the way. We can avoid the ones in the middle depending on how we do an idler setup, and because we didn't have the engine in it and we couldn't have the power steering and everything on it, we haven't got this figured out. So we can run it for a little bit. We're going to pressurize the cooling system and we'll fire it up and try to get it running, but we're going to take it to Holley as is, and maybe they've got some fittings for us. These would be better for 90s. Those are little things that you try to figure out what you need, but you always run into something. So we're not stressing. We're gonna button up the last of what we can, and then I'm gonna put it in the trailer. And are we gonna drive it in the trailer or push it in the trailer?
Yeah. No comment.
We're all just nervous because everything's talking and communicating, but you never know. So anyway, yeah.
I don't know if I want to spend an hour trying to get it started.
No, that's true too, but I do kind of want to.
When we know where Tom is.
I know, but that's the easy way out. I do kind of want to do it on our own.
And I like it easy.